Welcome to today's Explainer. Right now, we are seeing a massive fundamental shift toward agentic AI, and today you're going to learn exactly how to capitalize on it by creating retention-optimized educational content. We're going to outline the specific technical architectures you absolutely need to understand, as well as the highly targeted pacing strategies that keep professional audiences glued to the screen. Because if you ignore this shift, you literally risk your technical skills and your educational content getting left completely behind the curve.
To put that into perspective, get this. Gartner predicts that by the end of 2026, 40% of enterprise applications will embed AI agents. That is huge. This isn't just a minor feature update we're talking about. It's a fundamental restructuring of how businesses operate and how software is built from the ground up. Setting the stake in the ground right now is crucial to really grasping the sheer scale of the shift ahead of us.
So here is our roadmap for today. First, the agentic AI shift. Second, why learn agentic AI? Third, content gaps and video links. Fourth, hooks, structure, and pacing. And finally, retention for CTAs.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, the Agentic AI shift.
So what exactly is agentic AI? It is defined as an autonomous AI system capable of proactively planning, executing, and iteratively refining its actions to accomplish complex objectives without continuous human oversight. Now, the absolute magic words here are proactively planning and iteratively refining. We are moving way beyond those older models that just answer a prompt to intelligent agents that actually turn knowledge into automated action.
The leap we're taking here is just staggering. Think about older generative AI. It requires constant manual human prompting. Sure, it's fantastic at creating static content, like a text summary or an image, but you really have to hold its hand. Agentic AI, on the other hand, relies on continuous planning loops and multi-step reasoning. You give it a high-level goal, and it goes off and orchestrates a team of specialized sub-agents to fetch data, verify it, run code, and even recover from its own failures, entirely on its own.
Which brings us to Section 2. Why learn agentic AI?
Why is mastering this technology so critical for you right now? Well, for starters, it achieves massive cost reduction and a much faster ROI because it scales without linear cost increases. It also provides highly scalable, reliable digital labor. Plus, it offers real-time dynamic adaptation, meaning if an agent hits an error, it actually self-corrects and tries a new path without sitting around waiting for human intervention. Ultimately, this frees human workers up to focus on strategic, high-value thinking. Learning these architectures prevents you from getting stuck in perpetual pilot purgatory and actually empowers you to build genuine automated workflows.
Let's move on to Section 3, content gaps and video links.
If you're creating educational content in this space, the competitor intelligence is fascinating. Right now, the market is completely flooded with oversaturated topics. Think superficial tool reviews or really basic prompt engineering. But there are massive, hungry gaps for advanced topics. Viewers are actively seeking out winning subjects like state management, failure recovery, tool schema contracts, and secure orchestration workflows. The audience wants the heavy-hitting system architectures, not just another basic intro tutorial.
Now check out how this competitor data maps out ideal content durations alongside their algorithmic retention benchmarks. If you're making a well-structured micro-tutorial of about 45 to 75 seconds, you can actually achieve over 100% loop retention, which algorithms absolutely love. For a 2 to 5 minute quick explainer, your benchmark is 50 to 60% completion. Doing a longer 10 to 25 minute tech walkthrough, you should be hitting 35 to 45%. And for a full hour-plus course, hitting 20 to 30% retention right at the 1 hour work is incredibly strong. Knowing these benchmarks gives you a precise, data-backed target.
Okay, let's get into the mechanics. Section 4, hooks, structure, and pacing.
I want to ask you a pretty provocative question. Where are you losing your viewers? Because the data reveals a brutal truth here. The very first 3 seconds determine 65 to 84% of your retention success. Think about that. Weak openings or those long branded intro screens, they trigger immediate fatal algorithmic drop-offs. If your hook fails in those first 3 seconds, your amazing 20-minute masterclass on multi-agent systems goes entirely unwatched. To conquer those crucial first seconds, top technical channels rely on the highly effective PVSS hook formula. Step 1, proof. Establish your domain expertise instantly, maybe by showing a working prototype. Step 2, value. Explicitly state exactly what they're going to learn, confirming the promise of your title. Step 3 is structure. Outline the upcoming milestones so they have a clear roadmap. And finally, step 4, stakes. Explain what they actually risk by missing this information.
We actually walk through this exact formula step by step at the very beginning of this explainer to build that instant credibility with you.
Now, here's a really insightful quote from the Intelligence Report on Pacing. Over-editing backfires. Audiences over 35 actually retain worse when every sentence has a zoom and a whoosh. So while cognitive drift and visual monotony are real dangers, hyper-editing completely alienates the professional developer demographic. They are there to learn, not to be bombarded with sound effects.
Finding that sweet spot is essential, and here are your tactical editing remedies. First, try to maintain a brisk pace of about 130 to 150 words per minute. Second, use J-cuts and L-cuts to completely hide your narrative seams. Audiences instinctively leave during quiet pauses or hard visual cuts, so continuous audio tracks are absolutely mandatory. Third, to prevent visual monotony, just introduce a tasteful visual pattern interrupt every 30 to 60 seconds, like a clean text overlay or a subtle zoom. And lastly, keep your background music dynamic but unobtrusive, dropping it nice and low during complex technical explanations.
Let's bring it all together in Section 5, Retention First CTAs.
There are two completely different approaches to call to actions, and they will completely alter your algorithm performance. The retention killer is your standard end-of-explainer CTA. The moment you use finalizing vocabulary like in conclusion or thanks for watching, viewers subconsciously realize the value is over, and they just swipe away, devastating your final retention numbers. In contrast, the retention builder uses a middle placement CTA, where you embed value, like pointing to a GitHub link or a workflow template, right at the peak of their engagement in the middle of the explainer. This keeps the narrative momentum entirely unbroken.
And that leads us perfectly into the masked ending technique. By omitting any finalizing language whatsoever, you seamlessly bridge the viewer's curiosity directly into their next learning session. Look, as we've seen today, the technical foundations for autonomous agents are fully mature, and the educational audience is hungry than ever for deep, high-retention technical content. Will you adapt to the agentic architecture, or will your content get left behind?